worse. But don't worry if you can't solve the entirety of the problem, because honestly, it's not really realistic. And I also think that a lot of people try to solve problems in multiple ways initially. They'll do fundraisers, they'll do social media content, they'll do this, but all at the same time. I think that the easiest way to solve something is start with one project. Do one thing really well and then move on. For example, for us, the first thing that we did was we did our magazine. And then we branched out to YouTube, and then we branched out to blog. But you can't really have that much of an impact if you're trying to do too many things at once. And when you're looking at coming up with solutions, think about what's the easiest way that you can solve a problem. What is something that you're good at or that you think would be the best solution to solving a smaller aspect of the problem? So for me, I thought the magazine was the best way to solve the problem because number one, it would connect people. The magazine was kind of like the hackathon project. Everyone would work on it. And then number two, it would allow people to work together on a project and amplify voices to inspire people to pursue stuff. So it was a double-edged project, which was really awesome. But I think the fact that I thought about it for a really long time before implementing it, and then saw that, interviewing people who are interested in STEM would also be a really good way to accomplish a similar mission, or putting out blog posts, or being super active on social media and organizing Instagram takeovers. There are so many ways you can solve any problem, but think about it and see which one realistically can you start off with that you can gravitate towards building a team and solving the problem on your own. The next thing that you should do is form your team. Over here, I have my amazing issue 4 directors. Not all of them are pictured, but honestly, I love this team so much. And I think that your team should be a bunch of people who you really like to work with, because you have time to decide who you want to work with. So be a little bit picky about that. But I get this question a lot where people don't really know how to form your team. And I faced this struggle really, really hard when I was first trying to make Girl Genius happen. It's because, I couldn't just go around to my school and ask people to join, because that was the problem. And so what I did is I first pitched my idea to my friends and at school clubs. I know that pitching at school clubs isn't really a possibility right now because of quarantine, but sending emails to school clubs in your area and being like, hey, this is our organization. I think it really aligns with your club's mission. I'd appreciate it if you could forward this email to your members. I think it would be a good opportunity for them to get involved in. That's a really good way to get people to sign up. I think one of the most underrated ways to form a team is something that a lot of hackathons in the area do through outreach to get people to sign up, which is they send a bunch of school counselors and community counselors at high schools and colleges, and like club presidents and organization leaders, and being like, hey, we have this event that's happening. For this information, I think that this would be a really good opportunity, because most school counselors will actually forward it. We did this for the COVID fundraiser, and we got a lot of really, really good feedback, and a lot of our sales were stemmed from a lot of Bay Area schools that did purchase stickers, which was really awesome. And then I also recommend building a social media page and interacting with other organizations. I have to commend one organization on Instagram called intern_net, who, when they first started, I was a little bit sus, because they were just promoting all of their content, and we weren't even asking them to promote it. But now they're at 1,000 followers within just a few months, and I have to give it to them that, interacting with my organization consistently allowed me to see, like, wow, this is a cool organization. And I think that, by just reposting what bigger organizations are doing, like Built by Girls and Blue Grammar and Girl Boss, like, with 1 million followers, it's a lot harder to get recognized. But promoting other small organizations, it can really help you and set yourself up for potential partnerships. For example, when we partnered with Built by Girls, in the email that we sent, we mentioned how a lot of our team was in Built by Girls Wave, which is a mentorship program that consistently they could go back and look at the photos, and that we not only just through the Girl Genius account, but as individual personal accounts have been interacting with their content. And I think it's really important to make sure that you do that. And also starting a social media page. A lot of people who first joined Girl Genius found us out through social media. And on average, around like 85 to 90% of people who apply for our team find us through Instagram. So I'll be talking a lot about social media and its power in this, but it's also a really good way to form your team. A few places that are really good to advertise are Reddit, Roundpeer, Slack, and Discord. The only thing that I would say about these is that don't be spammy. I personally think that Roundpeer is a very underrated place to advertise. It's the first place I advertised for Girl Genius online, and it's honestly filled with a bunch of people who just want ECs to do. And I think that it's open to, there's a lot of international and national students on this platform. It's a really easy way to just get your organization out there. So this is something that I think it's really important to keep in mind when you're forming your team, and that, after running around 3 issues, this statement could not be even more true, and it's that you are as good as your team. And I know that sounds really concerning because I think it forces people to be like, oh my God, I need to only pick the best people possible. We don't always want to go about that, but here are a few of my tips that I wish I had known beyond even Girl Genius. And the first one is honestly something that I don't think people say enough, and it's that best friends should not always be directors or have a leadership position. I run Girls Code Club at my high school, and we've always just struggled to get people to show up because, my whole problem was that I couldn't find anyone interested in tech, and that hasn't really changed at least at my high school. And that's why I wanted to start Girls Code. And I had one of my best friends as my VP, and she basically just stopped attending meetings and didn't let me know. And, I think it's really hard to, I think that if you have someone as your friend on a leadership panel, you're a lot more lenient with them. And I think it's important to be lenient sometimes, but it's very easy for someone to walk all over you if they're really close to you. But not all best friends are like that. So be wary when picking people you know really well to be on your team. And also pick people who have ideas for your initiative because ideas indicate interest. Um, I talked a lot about this in my internship workshop, which a lot of you enjoyed. Thank you so much. But basically, when you're pitching yourself and being like, why do I want to intern somewhere? You have to bring your ideas to the table. And another example was I recently interviewed for a lot of co-lead positions. I spent around a week and a half just having a 1 hour call with everyone and being like, why do you deserve this position? What ideas do you have? And the what ideas question, I expected that everyone would spend at least 20 minutes talking about what ideas do they have. And ultimately, that allowed me to get my amazing co-lead, Chloe, who had so many ideas. And I also do this for my directors too. And it's also really important for you to pick people who have ideas for your initiative because at the end of the day, if you just make your own ideas happen, you can only accomplish so much. I would say that Girl Genius would not be a lot if I hadn't listened to what a lot of my members wanted. For example, they wanted these workshops, which is why I'm holding them, because I should be listening to my team. And lastly, quality over quantity of people on your team. I've been a part of many failed student organizations or student organizations started by second semester juniors that stopped as soon as college apps were turned in which recruited like 100 people to join their initiative and then they literally accomplished nothing. And I think that, it is hard at first in the beginning because you kind of want to do the opposite since you're just trying to test the waters and see like who's really in it and who's really not. But over time, you should really focus on having quality over quantity of people. It doesn't matter if you have 150 people on your team or 300. If you have one person who's actually doing work and 149 who not, how much is your organization really having and how much is that number really worth? This is my favorite slide to talk about. And I think it's honestly really, really important. And it's that you cannot do it all, and nor should you. This is a lesson that took me a really long time to learn with Girl Genius because In my first issue, we didn't have directors, which, as you can imagine, would lead to a lot of chaos because I was basically trying to manage like 10 teams. And that led to a lot of burnout. And burnout is never good. It's something that you definitely want to avoid, especially as juniors. Um, and it made me realize that I can't do it all, and that's okay. You know, your team is not there against you. And as a female founder, it's really easy to feel like you are the only person who truly understands your organization. If you have that mindset, you will never be able to grow your organization. And so I think it's really important to realize that the people that are on your team are there to help you and that you should not be micromanaging. I was recently on a team that I'm not a part of anymore where I had to make a website for this team. And it was my first time making a website for an event. So obviously, I struggled a little bit with it. It was a learning experience for me, but something I just consistently noticed was that the lead director would change the website a lot without telling me. And, she would change like some designs, some colors, or some things. And I would be really confused. I was like, I thought you said you liked this. And that's why I really don't recommend micromanaging because honestly, it took a really big learning opportunity away from me where I couldn't communicate with someone. I think that a lot of people micromanage when they think like, oh, I can do this. It's easier if I just spend the time doing it myself and just explaining it to you. You should not go about it that way because you are taking learning opportunity away from someone. One of the most critical skills that you need, especially with COVID and a lot of remote opportunities, is being able to communicate your ideas to someone. Whether or not it takes 10 minutes or 5 minutes, like you have to spend the time making sure that you are giving someone a learning opportunity and that you are also learning out of this. And micromanaging is honestly not okay. It made me feel a lot of imposter syndrome and made me doubt a lot of my design and coding abilities. And, you know, I don't think that anyone should ever feel that way when they're learning. Like you should learn and you should know that, you have to overcome mistakes, but micromanaging should not be something that you should want to do in your organization. Okay, so I think that the previous steps, a lot of people kind of get them. They get their team, they finalize their idea, and they have a brief understanding of what they want to do to solve a problem. Here is the part where everybody actually struggles, and it's actually getting things done. Because I think that a lot of us, we love to make change, we want to make change, but it's about actually putting your mind to it and trying to create some tangible thing. But first, let's talk about what a founder or lead director is. A lot of failed organizations that I've been a part of have had founders or lead directors who don't do anything. They make their directors do everything, they just sit back and they take all the credit for it. That's not the way you should go about it, ever, because at the end of the day, you are as good as your team. And if you're not doing work, why would your directors do work? And thereby, why would your members do work? If you're not even passionate about spending at least an hour on your organization a week, no one else is going to be. And so it's really important to make sure that your team knows what you're doing. Um, and so that incentivizes them and shows them that, hey, I'm putting work into this initiative. The least amount that I can expect from you is putting work into this initiative too. At Girl Juniors, what we do is I post a lot of announcements with my directors and our whole team, and being like, these are what our team's accomplished. This is what I did. These are the projects that I'm working on. For example, something that I did as executive director was I arranged empowerment weeks with Agnes and Chloe and our former partnerships director, which was 21 days of 21 takeovers by 21 women in STEAM. And I loved organizing it. I loved getting all the DMs and being like, this made my day. I loved this takeover, and just working on fun passion projects like this. A lot, Chloe, Agnes, and I are working on these workshop series for you guys, and it's really fun. And even though it doesn't have to do with my magazine, it's still another way that I'm looking towards expanding Girl Genius. I also think it's really important to treat your directors equal to you. And by that, I mean hold them to the same standards you hold them to yourself. If you are not working on your initiative the week before an AP test, an important test you have, or just anything, you should not be hypocritical and hold your directors to that too. Um, I have a really strict policy that whenever I onboard someone, is that I try to treat you the way that I treat myself. So I like to give this thing called the We're All Human talk, which is basically that I know that mental health is really important, and I know that everyone here is a student and is very ambitious, and that you do have outside commitments, and I have outside commitments outside of running this organization too. And it's really important to make sure that you treat your directors equal to you, and there shouldn't really be a hierarchy. I think that hierarchies can lead to a lot of power imbalances and make someone feel that they aren't superior and that their voice isn't heard. This also comes with giving your directors creative control, actually listening to their ideas. For example, something that my writing and blog director, Green and Maddie, wanted to implement this issue was a job board. And so we're working on coding that right now, which is super exciting. And I think that, listening to your team about what they want can really set your organization up for success. But also being realistic in deadlines at work. I would say at the beginning of an organization, a maximum 1.5 hours per week. I try to hold this throughout the entire organization for the members of Girl Genius, around 2 to 3 hours per week for the directors, and then for Chloe and I, it's kind of like a 1 hour per day thing because we are the lead directors, and I think that it's really important to be realistic. I personally hate us answering the question when how much time can you commit to this organization per week? Because honestly, it's like I probably had to say 5 in this interview, but knowing you, you're probably going to assign me 1 hour of work. So be realistic in deadlines. It's really important to realize that everyone here is a student and has other commitments. Have a game plan for each week. Don't just come up with stuff on the day you're supposed to assign assignments. What Chloe and I like to do is we have this Google document that has assignments for the entire week. So we have one for the directors and we have one for ourselves on what we're going to specifically accomplish. And this basically allows your team to know exactly what they want to do. Something that I did last issue was try to write assignments up 2 weeks in advance so that directors could assign it either earlier or be like, hey, if you're having a chill week and kind of want to get ahead and grow genius, this is what I want you to do next week. You can get started on it. Hold your directors accountable. This is very, very important and goes back to the best friend story. I know that it's really hard to find the balance of being a lead director and being friends with everyone in your initiative, and it definitely takes time. Um, but I think the fact that treating your directors equal to you, giving them creative control, and most importantly, being like, I'm going to listen to you and I want to make your ideas happen. But at the same time, I need to make sure that you are doing the work that you have been assigned. They are one is a prerequisite for another, and I think it's really important to make it clear. Don't be too hard on your directors, especially during this time with COVID. Literally anything can happen, and I think it's really important to make sure that you are treating your directors as people. And with that being said, extensions are so important. The amount of times that I've asked for an extension in organizations has been a lot. You want to make sure extensions are something that is repeatedly asked for. If a lot of your directors are asking for extensions, it comes down to when are your deadlines. If your deadlines are not enough time to give your team enough time to work, that's probably why these extensions are being used. But understanding, that everyone is human can really help you guys get things done. This picture we have here is what I like to call the master spreadsheet. This is like the holy grail of like Girl Genius when it comes like 3 weeks before an issue is um, ready, and basically is a master spreadsheet where everyone kind of links their work, and a lot of us can just look over and be like, yep, okay, we need to do this or that. Everything else is done. And finding other organization methods like that to or best organize your organization. Good leader tips. This is obviously depending on your organization, but these are just things that I have learned um, when running this organization. And like I said before, it's giving your members and directors creative control and listening to them. We have a members input channel at our Discord where I consistently ask our team, like, do you want to see workshops on this? Do you want to have Girl Genius work on this? Something that a lot of people want us to work on is merch and conferences and workshops and just so many more exciting projects. And, Chloe and I and our new directors, we're going to be working towards making it happen because, you know, you need to recognize that these people are not getting any monetary value out of putting time into your organization. They're putting time out of their day towards making the mission that you want to happen. The least that you can do is listen to the ideas they have and give them a lot of input into what happens. I think that a lot of people just give directors input. Give your members input too. Obviously, your director should have a little bit more input than your members, but your members are also working towards your organization, and I think it's really important to recognize that. I also think it's really important to, again, listen to your team. It's not a one-woman show. If I just made my ideas happen, we would not have a YouTube channel. We probably would not have any Instagram takeovers, and we probably wouldn't have had a newsletter or workshops. And that's a lot of what we do. And I think it's important to realize that your team is there for you. They want to believe in this initiative. And, if you make their ideas happen, the chances of them putting a lot more time into your initiative is really high. Your initiative will never be their number one priority. I think this is really controversial to talk about, but I think it's also really important to mention because a lot of people, and including myself at the beginning, get frustrated when people don't spend time working on their initiative. They're just like, you committed, what happened? And it's because at the end of the day, just based off of the chat we had alone, everyone is doing things outside of your organization. And as a leader or a founder, this organization is probably your number one priority most days, but do the Friday night test. Are you working on this every single Friday night of the year? I don't think so. I think that most Friday nights you might be, but it's not every single Friday night. And it goes back to treating your directors equal to you. And I think that this also ties into directors that make people pick and choose between organizations. I don't think that's really fair. I think it's important to pick people who, do have time for your initiative, but realize that, at the end of the day, they are taking their time out of doing this. Your initiative is not going to be their number one priority every single day, like it isn't for yours. Be consistent when you're assigning tasks. I think it's really important. I have seen a lot of organizations that have just kind of failed because they haven't, they just assign tasks once a month and they just forget about the fact that they're assigned. And I think it's really important to assign tasks. I would say that the best deadlines is 7 to 10 days. That's generally the time where most people can get something done. Have a constant place to talk to. Most people generally choose Slack or Discord. We have our community Slack, and then we have our big Girl Genius Discord because it just requires so much more organization, and Discord does that really well. Over here, I have an announcements channel that I practically use this every day because I really like talking to everyone, and I do things like share this message with everyone so that they can be featured on our Instagram, or please vote for the stickers you want to be posted on the Redbubble. Again, that member engagement and making sure that their ideas are heard. Okay, so I'm gonna pop back into the meet for a second to make sure there aren't any questions that were asked. Because I can't see the chat when I'm presenting. How can you be heart? Yes, these are some good tips. Okay, cool. Does anyone have any questions before we move on to the social media aspect of the presentation? Because that was kind of just the teams, kind of building organization, getting people to come there. I'll start by answering some of these questions. I'll be talking about the nonprofit stuff at the very end because, quite frankly, I think it's the least important, which I know is shocking, but it's true. Okay, yeah, I don't think there's any questions. So we'll move on to the social media part, and then we'll go into the nonprofit part at the end. Cool. But yeah, just let me know if you guys have any questions.
Excuse me, I have one.
Okay, cool. So now we're going to be talking about the power of social media. And I think social media is a really, really powerful tool. especially with everything that's happening right now, it's a very easy way to make an impact and um, let people know about your organization the most. We're most active on Instagram, but we're trying to be active on more platforms as well. So, how do you tackle social media? I think social media is something that takes a long time for everyone to kind of figure out on what's going on. And like teams, it's really important to have quality over quantity posts. We used to post like 4 times a week at the beginning, and her posts, honestly, like I designed some of them, they looked really ugly. Um, and it's really important to make sure that the content you're creating is something that is beneficial to your users. And that starts with being active on a lot of social media accounts. And that basically allows people to just not only find out about your organization, but it's another way to get people to join the team. And like I said earlier, following and engaging with other similar organizations sets you up for success and building future partnerships. Bio tips. I recommend having the same username everywhere if possible, and your bio should clearly tell the user what they're going to get out of this page. So, just reading our bio, like you can tell that we have a magazine, we have videos, we have blogs, and we have events. And the link tree, this is something that I added recently, but I've noticed that a lot more people have been visiting our link tree. And I think it's also because of just us writing this. But, you know, right here, you can just see that this link will take you to workshops, to sign up for our mailing list, and to sign up for our Slack, which I think is really important to just have like a sentence in your link that you can update. Built by Girls does this a lot, which I honestly like. It's helped me find out whenever they have new resources and to indicate new opportunities that are happening. For example, like sometimes he will say, just join our team below, and then you can change it accordingly. Linktree is amazing. I highly recommend using it. It's basically a bunch of links that you can attach, and they can scroll down and click the link that is relevant. I also recommend having customized highlight covers because not only do they look better, but also it makes you look a lot more professional as an organization. Feed tips. Again, quality over quantity. Post 1 to 2 times per week. I've noticed that there is so much more engagement if you post art or photos. Um, and, as you can see right here, we've definitely taken that and put a photo or a piece of art on every single one of our um, images on our feed. And every single post we have on Insights, every single day I see like, oh, this post had 95% more engagement and it's always had a photo or a piece of art. And I really recommend looking into incorporating that a lot more into your feed, but also that your users should leave with new information. Tips, tricks, and advice always do super, super well on a Instagram feed. For example, I love following like college app tips and tricks feeds because like they'll just like have a few like frames on like how to write this. For example, one of my favorite accounts is called Road to Uni on Instagram. I highly recommend supporting them. It's founded by a really amazing person. And every single one of their posts is like an opportunity or a how to ask your teachers for rec letters. And automatically, as a student, as a rising senior, I'm just like, oh, this is relevant to me. This is something that I could use, and it's going to help me. And I think that creating change starts with always engaging your users and helping them leave with more information. And most importantly, you should think about whether you would even click on this because you kind of know what the problem is, and either you faced it, you've seen your friends face it, or just someone else. Would you even click on it? If the answer is no, most likely the audience that you are trying to engage wouldn't click on it either. I think it's also important to have consistent color scheme. By the way, if any of you have a GitHub account, you can get Canva Pro for free. Chloe told me about this, and it has changed our feed for the better. So I highly recommend looking into that. All of our posts are made with Canva, and all of our graphics generally are artist design. Press. I think that this is something that is very, very underused, and I think that it can really, really help your organization. So the reason why Girl Genius has helped a lot with press Recently is because in a lot of my co-lead interviews, we talked a lot about how we have a spike, where every single time a magazine releases, we get like 200 new followers, and then after that, it's like kind of very stable, and we don't really see an increase. But with doing more press, you see that number kind of increase every day, which is really nice and can help you build a following really, really quickly. I think the most underrated way to do this is doing Instagram takeovers. And as someone who was like, first, like, I don't want to be a social media influencer, like, I don't know how to talk about myself. It's something that you definitely learn how to do. You don't always have to film a video of yourself, which is something that I personally don't like to do. I like putting photos like this of like me at hackathons or like my team and just give tips. And I think that, every one of you has done any extracurricular activity. You have some skills on your sleeve that maybe the next person next to you on this Google Meet doesn't have. And it's really important to share that. That's the reason why we organize workshops like these, because even though I haven't started the most amazing nonprofit ever, I still have some tips that I wish I knew a year and a half ago. And you should be giving your team advice and again, with every story, like every post, they should leave with something new. I also recommend doing interviews. School boards and local news organizations love to do interviews. My school board has recognized me and a lot of my Milpitas team for working on breaking news like 2 times. I was recently on a call where we just talked about our COVID fundraiser, and from that we got like $30 more worth of stickers for me just talking for like 5 minutes. And also, local news organizations love supporting you guys. Like, they love writing about students and their cities who are making change. You can honestly go on their website, email them, be like, hey, I'd love for you guys to talk about this organization. Here's why. Post for post is also another way you can do press, but honestly, I don't really recommend it because I only recommend it if you're posting something that is an organization that's kind of similar to yours or that your mission aligns with them. I know that a lot of people do post for post, but sometimes, like, if I'm following your account, for example, and your account is about internships and you post about like a newsletter that has nothing to do with careers, opportunities, or internships, I'm going to be like, this isn't really relevant to me and this is not what I followed you for. So if you're going to do post for post, make sure that whatever post you have benefits your user again. And TBR, like, make sure you get your organization out there and be a marketing machine. A lot of, like I said earlier, a majority of people who apply for Girl Genius found us through Instagram, and it's because we're active on Instagram. We do a lot on social media, and it's really important to make sure that you are doing this because it's very easy to get people to learn about your organization and join your organization if you just use social media. Partnerships. This is something that we really got into, I would say, like in our second issue. Um, I would say that a good idea to start partnerships is when you have something tangible. So for us, when our first issue was done, that's when we started partnerships. And I think that was a very wise decision because Coach Genius gets so many emails per day from organizations that are like, yeah, um, we'd love to partner with you. And the first question I ask is, what impact have you had? What tangible thing have you created? And they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have a conference, but then they don't have any sponsors or speakers lined up already. And I'm like, a little sus, because I want to support them, but they don't have anything that's there for me to judge them and be like, yes, this is a good organization. We did a takeover on Built by Girls for our first issue, and what we did is we sent them a PDF of our magazine before it was released to show them, hey, this is the content we're making. We'd love for us to talk about more about it on your Instagram. And I think that that was a smart decision to do. So make sure that before you even think about partnerships, that you had something, whether it's having tutorials on social media, whether it's YouTube videos, blog posts, newsletters, like anything that's a little bit more tangible will convince them that, hey, we do this, we've already started on it, this is why you should partner with us. And when you email anyone, you should be talking about your organization and always, always, always mention your impact, why you are interested. This should be customized to every single organization because it tells them that you took the time to understand what they're doing. And then also, how do you want to collab? So we recently collabed with Pop Sockets, which for all attending this bookshop, you do get a free, you get into this Pop Socket giveaway, which is super cool. And we just talked about our organization, and we're like, we love to do a giveaway with our followers so that they could, you know, get this merch. And the requirements would be they would attend our workshops, they would follow you on social media. And Pop Sockets was like, yes, we'll do this. We also did one with Bit by Bit, where I did my internships 101 workshop that a lot of you went to. And yeah, like just reaching out to organizations, asking if you can speak on panels. There's so many virtual events happening right now. It's a really good time to establish partnerships. And always, I think that a lot of people kind of shoot their shot a little bit in the dark, where like they will reach out to an organization that has like 10,000 followers, and their account really has 100 followers. And when I get those like DMs or emails, I'm kind of iffy because I'm like, you haven't built any following yet. You kind of have to show what you have already to show them that, not only will you be benefiting out of this partnership, but I'll be benefiting too. And so start with smaller student-run organizations and work your way up. Okay, this is the thing that a lot of you guys have been waiting for, which is the 501c3 information. And the reason why I put this at the very end was because, sorry, my laptop's gonna die. But the reason why I put this at the end was because I think it's the least important towards making a successful organization. I think that a lot of people get caught up in the fact that they have to register as a 501c3 and that it takes them months and months and months, and that they end up making zero impact with their organization. Girl Genius wasn't a 501c3 until literally this month. But we made a lot of impact before that, and honestly, our 501c3 status hasn't made us making impact a lot easier. Quite frankly, we're fiscally sponsored by Hack Club Bank, which is an organization that basically allows you to get the benefits of a nonprofit, but not register independently. They take 7% of your revenue. I highly recommend, if you need a 501c3 to start your organization, to go the fiscal sponsor branch, because it has no strings attached. It's a lot easier for you to get the benefits of a 501c3 without spending literally thousands of dollars and filing this independently. And you can always go from a fiscal sponsor to registering yourself. And I recently, when I was in freshman year, I wanted to turn Coding for Kids into a 501c3. But then I got on a call with Zach Lato, who's like the icon of like the tech industry. He's the founder of Hack Club. And I got on a call with him, and he was like, you don't need to have a 501c3 like independently unless you're making like more than 25K or like 250K. And I was like, oh, okay, well then, this is obviously not where I'm at right now. Like, I was a freshman, of course, like I wasn't making this much money through a nonprofit. And so I highly recommend going the fiscally sponsored way because it will allow you to just focus a lot more on making an impact and seeing whether or not a 501c3 is truly what you need to pursue your organization. So these were the common questions that were in the form. Like I said, the 501c3 fiscally sponsored by a lot of organizations, they take 7% of your revenue. And registering as a 501c3 independently is so expensive. And something that I just heard is that registering as a 501c3 independently is considered a privilege in college apps because they know you're not getting this money from GoFundMe's. Like, they know it's coming from your parents. And honestly, making your parents spend $3,000 on you registering for something that a lot of student organizations kind of just end when high school ends, it's really not fair to them. And it also depends on your state. At California, it's very expensive. Why should you register as a 501c3 or get fiscally sponsored? Tax exempt, so it's a lot easier to get donations. We wanted to do the COVID fundraiser right after we got fiscally sponsored because we get all of the money to donate, which is nice. you can get sponsorship money, which is really great for you know holding events, and you get access to a lot of grants, um, and just easier ways to get money. Because as a student-run organization, let's be real, it's pretty hard to get money from anyone. Also, for those of you who maybe want to start getting donations. What our plan was to get donations from grocery stores. If you go to any grocery store like a Safeway and you tell them you're a 501c3, most will give you $50, which is really, really nice as a student run organization. And so you do need that title to obviously do that. You get free G Suite, which is nice, and a lot of free coupons. Um, like you can get free stickers, you can get free t shirts, a lot of just really cool benefits. And in terms of raising money, I recommend right now that it's not a very great time to raise money for your organization because honestly, there are some, because of COVID, that's kind of like the big thing that really needs money right now. And I think that, that's our goal this summer was to raise money, but COVID is so much more of a pressing issue that we kind of had to change gears. And so the ways that I recommend going about this is selling merchandise. You can do GoFundMe's to raise money, but like I said, with COVID happening, most people want to support frontline workers at the time and offering services. So I know that a lot of organizations provide like services of like editing, like reposting if you have a lot of followers on Instagram and things like that. So yeah, that was my starting a 501c3 workshop in high school. I'll be going over any questions you guys have right now. If your org has raised enough money to file, should you file? I think that honestly, you should look at whether or not you need a 501c3 to um, make your organization successful. I think that we only needed it right now after a year and a half of running because we didn't necessarily need money for us, our organization to be successful. So it honestly depends whether or not you need it to raise it and whether or not you can, go the fiscal sponsor route, use that money for something else. Is Hack Club expensive? It's not. Hack Club is not exclusive for tech nonprofits. It can honestly be about anything. And there's also an organization called Hack Plus, which is a lot more focused on like startups and nonprofits that you can also use. Any other questions? For Instagram takeovers, how do you reach out to other creators? What I do with a lot of my partnerships team is we basically DM a lot of organizations and we're like, hi, we're World Genius, we're 501c3, this is the impact we've made, this is why we want to do a takeover, these are the topics we talk about, let us know. Also, I found that email, you just get so much higher responses. So think about emailing before DMs because it'll go to the request part of DMs, and so they would have to look at it individually to see like, oh, are you a good fit or not? Yes, Hack Club can be used for anything. How did you get people to believe in your cause? That's something that honestly takes time. It's still something that I'm working on, and I think that the best way to do this is honestly, like I said before, have a tangible impact, have a plan. If you show people that you have a way to make your organization like actually make an impact, you've done your research, you know what your game plan is, it provides a lot more people an incentive to join your organization. And I think that's honestly one of the best ways for people to just believe in your cause, is by showing that you are giving time to it and that you have created something. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. I think a lot of people think that I have to impact an international audience the first week of my nonprofit. That's not true. Like we didn't even do that like the first month of our nonprofit, and that's okay. Um, Start with your community, start with something small, and build your way. How much money? You don't have to use any money to get this food sponsored, which is really, really nice. Honestly, like I didn't want my parents to spend like $5,000 on this because I didn't think that was fair. Um, and I think that fiscally sponsors are very, very underrated because you don't need any money for them. How did you deal with your friend who was slacking off? Ooh, confrontation is tough, but it's necessary. I honestly just like pulled her aside and I talked to her about it, and I ultimately did ended up removing her from the organization, but it was because she honestly just wasn't stepping up to the plate. And it's really important, to pull that card because I think friendship is important, but at the end of the day, do you want your organization to succeed or do you want to maintain a friendship? How did you find interview opportunities for your organization? Um, for the initial parts, I really recommend you have to do the work. They won't come to you. So, using Instagram, using LinkedIn, and searching like student-run organizations, using organizations like Brown Peer, which have a list of like student-run organizations. There's always a on that spreadsheet. I didn't even know it was on that spreadsheet, but it is. Um, that has a list of a lot of student-run organizations you can ask to interview for. That's how we started. And again, use like areas in your school love interviewing students. Like they love it. They will do it. They will get on the call with you anytime. Um, how do you build your team before advertising if your friends are not interested? Well, this is the problem that I face. Um, and I think that the unique part of Gold Genius was that you didn't have to be good at STEM to succeed. You had to be interested in STEM, but show this through a bunch of other skills like writing for the maths, editing, creating art, layout design. You know, the end goal was to encourage people to go into STEM, but it wasn't based on like whether or not you could code really well, which I think that incentivized people to join a lot more. And so thinking about that a lot when you advertise if your friends aren't interested, but also social media is very, very powerful. Again, I'm pretty sure there are at least 10 people who follow you on Instagram who don't go to the same school as you. So don't limit yourself to your community when you're finding people. How do you start different chapters in different schools? We don't have chapters, and the reason why is because the whole problem is to solve connectivity. And if I started a chapter at my school, it wouldn't really allow me to connect with people like Agnes and Chloe, who are like 20 to 5 minutes away from me, because it's just a chapter at my school, which is the ultimate goal. But for schools, I think that a lot of people, there's like a process that you can use to register as a chapter. How does money donated go to nonprofits? How can money be used for the cause? For us, we have like a budget lined up for money. It doesn't really go towards workshops, but I know that for a lot of events in the Bay Area, they get around like 15 to 30K worth of sponsorship money to hold like hackathons and like tech events um, to hold in the area. So that's something money can be used for. It can also be used for like something that we're planning to use the money that we raise for is like buying issue plans, which is the platform that our magazine is posted on. That allows us to see how many reads we've gotten in total, the articles that are read the most, like things like that that can benefit your organization. I think money is something that truly depends on the organization. Like for Coding for Kids, all we really need is laptops, and that is something that every single school, like they have Chrome cards, they offer it, they have a projector. That's all we need. We really don't need money to make our organization successful, and it's important to understand whether or not you need it. How do you get fiscally sponsored? Who did you contact? If you go to the Hack Club website, you can pretty much fill out their form or like the Hack Plus website, and they'll give you someone to contact. Is it okay to change aspects of your organization after starting? I think that you need to change aspects of your organization after you've started. That's growth. Um, you know, I didn't have directors for my first issue. I didn't have like a document where I had every single thing listed. I didn't have a spreadsheet. It's really important to kind of adapt and see, broaden your audience as well um, when you're making your organization. Where do you find Slack groups to join? Honestly, I feel like that is kind of like hit or miss. You just find like my friend sent me an invite to the Built by Girls Slack, but for a few Slacks, I think that it's really just like if you go on Discord servers, Reddit is a really great place to find Slacks. Um, as you can see, that's what I spend my time doing when I'm not running Broad Genius. Are there any benefits to using Hack Club versus Hack Plus? Um, For Hack Plus, I believe when we applied, their application was closed, but I think there's probably some fiscal sponsors take more percent of your revenue. So Hack Club only takes 7%, but if you have $0 in your bank, they're not going to take any money from you, which is nice. But I know that's not the case for every single person. Can I send the spreadsheet? The slides will be sent, so I could send you a photo. Where can you find the necessary documents to find a 501c3? That's just going to be like on the IRS website. It's very, very confusing. Um, yeah, that's why I honestly didn't want to register independently because I tried to register coding for kids like a solid 6 months and I could not figure out like how to go about it. But also like it was very, very tedious and like every single paper required like $50 to send. How many people is an idea for a team? Stephanie, could you elaborate more on your question? Did your time commitment to GG change once you became a 501c3? I would say yeah, it did. It kind of increased because we got the 501c3 to start raising money. So like running the COVID fundraiser and definitely helping a lot with like marketing and running workshops for you guys. Like I would say like the 501c3 status, it definitely helps a lot more than saying you're a student run organization because it makes you seem more legitimized. Of course. What do you use Slack for? We use Slack mainly for just like advertising and getting to know people and introducing them to the organization. I actually every single aspect of life, which is really nice. Do you need to open a bank account for your nonprofit? I'd recommend it. You can also have a PayPal, which is like completely free to do it. Does the money donated to your nonprofit go under your name? Yes, it goes under our name. And through Hack Club and Hack Plus, you can have like a page where people can specifically donate. The subreddit r/EC advice. It's a really good subreddit. I like it. I want to get registered to get limited liability. Is there another option? I know someone who is actually registered under LLC. Unfortunately, like if you're under 18, that is really the only way that you can like start a registered company. Will the chat be visible in recording? I'm not sure. I think it might. Where do you seek interview opportunities to publicize your organization? Again, it's honestly just a lot of research. It's like finding. I think that one of the underrated ways is a lot of accounts like to tag other organizations in their posts. So what I did was in any places that I saw were doing blog posts about organizations or like interviews on Instagram, I'd go on their tagged posts and I would look at who's following them to see because generally people who follow other organizations, they have similar ideas, but also if they tag them in similar content, they're generally kind of doing the same thing too. Is GitHub Student Pack? Yes, it's only 1 year, which is sad. But if you're a registered 501c3, you can also get free Canva Pro for a long time. I'm still in the process of figuring that out. For Instagram takeovers, you basically give them, you generally just give them your account password to help them navigate it. Something that we do is we send them an Instagram guide because Built by Girls did that for us. And it honestly helps me so much because I was a sophomore. I barely used Instagram, believe it or not, when I first did this. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that these tips were just so helpful. And it made me feel a lot more confident in terms of doing a takeover for the first time. There are too many writers. I agree. I think that it's really hard to find a balance in a team. I think it comes down to quality over quantity again, and whether or not you like actually need that many people if for your organization. I think it depends on how much content you want to release and seeing who is actually releasing content that's receiving more views is really, really important to take into consideration. If you are trying to register in, do you need a logo or trademark when making an organization? I think it's really important to just have a logo that's really easily identifiable about your organization. There's a lot of free logo makers out there, but if you can get an artist who is, either a high school student to do it for free or a college student, I think that can help too. How do you get artists and designers for the magazine? Honestly, every single person who applies is really from Instagram and just promoting content. And something I did when we didn't like have a lot of artists was that a lot of artists on Instagram like they have their own art pages. So I used to DM them and I was like, "Hey, I'm Shivali. I run Girl Genius. I really like your art. If you were interested, I run a magazine and I would love to feature your art sometime. If you could create some artwork for us, here's the application." So I recommend doing that for like things that you can do. Um, how did you create your logo and come up with the name Girl Genius? One of our former artists, Katie Hall, actually came up with our logo, which was really nice. It was honestly her idea of how to make it, so I can't take any credit there. But the name, honestly, I pitched Girl Genius, believe it or not, to like my guy best friend first, which I find is really ironic because it's an all female organization. Um, but we were just honestly bouncing off names, and we just came up with it. Honestly, um, what questions can you ask people when forming a team? Um, I think that with the summer coming up, it's really important now that even though COVID is stuff happening, a lot of people's summer plans are just getting more solidified. Asking what you're doing this summer, asking them their ideas for your initiative, um, what they need from a good from you, and as a good leader, I think that that's something that's really helped me when leading a team. For example, like some people are like, I'm gonna need you to just message me every once in a while and be like, "Hey, Shwali, I need you to do this," and I'm like, "Okay, I can do that." Or some people are like, "I'm not really good at navigating like um, Discord. I prefer if he emails me." And I'm like, "Okay, that's really important for me to know." So those are some things that I would ask people when forming a team, but I would stress the importance of like come prepared with ideas to talk about of why you want to join this organization. And I also like to do the whole like, this is what we're doing right now. Just on your first impression, what do you think we can do better or just do to enhance this process? Okay. Any other questions? I think I went through all of them. Okay, I'll give it like 2 more minutes. And then if not, we can end it. Thank you all so much for coming, by the way. I really appreciate it. Yay. Okay. Did you first start with Instagram? How did you try to grow your organization? Um, well, we first started with making the issue, and then we started like being a lot more active on Instagram, and then that's really how we took it off. Yeah. What kind of inspirations did you have in creating the magazine? I would say that I came up with the idea of Gigi and Safeway, um, which is like a running joke that we have, because it's so random. But I really just when I created it, I was following a lot of organizations like Built by Girls, Woo Grammar, Girl Boss, like you know, and like whenever I would read like a story of like a woman in tech, like just accomplishing or a high school student, like it would make me smile. I'd be like, yes, girl power in STEM. Like I would be really hyped about it, and that's honestly what I wanted to reciprocate. What do you recommend for directors to do in an organization you see potential in? I think that this depends on whether or not what your directors are meant to do. For example, like if they are supposed to be a writing director, it's definitely like making sure that they're organized. I would really highlight like making sure that your directors know how to use Google Drive, know how to use the platform that you're talking in, know how to just kind of do what you really want them to do really well. Um, I think that is honestly it depends on like what their role is and making sure that they can be as good as they can be. Yes, it'll be recorded. Any specific tips for a fall 501c3 starting out? I would say that don't feel that you are not making an impact. You do not have to solve the entirety of the problem. Like I said, even if you impact one person, I think that that's very commendable. especially with the recent events happening, I think that this generation is like screaming for a lot more change. And the fact that all of you attended this workshop, it's indicative that this generation is going to be the one that makes change. And I'm very excited about that. But also, I think that it's important to remind yourself of why you're making change and also see, whether your audience is actually responding to. Now, obviously, if you just start off on Instagram, you're not going to see someone engaging with your content a very, very lot, right? So it comes down to when I reposted this and I asked someone to repost it, did I see a lot of content? Instagram Insights is really, really helpful. I think it's a very underused tool and something I wish I used earlier. And also making sure that, again, you're very organized, you're consistent in assignments, you're actually coming up with something that's a little bit more tangible than just like connecting people. Are you actually connecting people or is it just something you're saying? Tips on having a website for your organization. We're actually in the process of recoding our website right now, but I would say that it's really important, especially if we're looking out for sponsorships, to make sure that your impact is clearly highlighted in your organization's ways to get involved is very, very important. Your about us, why you started this organization, who is part of your team, um, and it should be a lot more informational and not very cluttered. You want to make sure that it's something that's very, very easy to navigate and is something that can, if someone just like took the name off of it, they knew that it was your website. Any other questions before I can let you all go? How are you buying your website domain? With GitHub Student Developer Pack, you can get a free domain, which is really nice. But also, some website domains can be like $2. So that is something that I was considering like spending my own money on for Girl Genius. But I'd recommend start off with a .tech domain, and then you can always change your domain later. Can anyone use Linktree? Yes, anyone can use Linktree. It's 100% free. I highly recommend using it for your Instagram and like updating your links. So, for example, like let's say that day you release a new blog post. So on Linktree, you can change the order of what is happening, of how it's listed. So maybe putting your blog post link at the first one, so it's easy for someone to just like click it and easily go to your blog post. Like that's something we do for the workshops. We have our Slack as our number one, and then our mailing list, and then we have our workshops in order of like when they're going to happen. Anything else you guys want to talk about? How do you balance school and nonprofit work? Oof. I'm not very good at school. I'm someone who is a lot more street smart than school smart, but I would say, yeah, especially as a junior, I didn't work on Girl Junior's first semester of junior year, which I really regret. I was really focusing on debate, and I just faced so much burnout being a part of an organization that I just really didn't care a lot about. And I think that, you know, it's really important to make sure that, especially during junior year, that school is a priority. And I am someone who doesn't sleep a lot, but that's a personal choice. And I would say that the best way to balance it is honestly maximizing school the much as you can. Like I'm someone who like I stay after school for like an hour and I just do miscellaneous homework so that I know going home I just have to work on projects or studying, and so thereby I can work a lot more in Girl Genius because I've gotten all the homework that's really not important out of the way. But I would say that a really important tip is to make sure that this organization isn't something that feels like a burden. You should want to work on this. Extracurriculars are not obligations, they're choices. And you should not feel like this is another AP class you're a part of. And so I think that that ultimately leads you to finding a balance on nonprofit work, but also working a lot on it the weekends. I think that working on your organization an hour per day is something that's very realistic. Um, I'm doing that right. I'm doing more than an hour per day right now because it's quarantine, so I have more time. But I think that even in person, like when we were in person school, doing 1 hour a day is honestly not something that's hard. Start with like 30 minutes and work your way up and see if it's possible to find that good balance. Any other questions? Of course. How can we contact you if someone else has questions? You can either DM us on Instagram or Agnes will send you guys an email with the recording. But my email is shivaligalati121 at gmail.com. Did you face any major setbacks? Can you elaborate on that? Oh, of course, Caitlin. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. Unlike the setbacks. Okay, any other questions? Like any times you're feeling I would say like the only times I really felt that things weren't happening the way I wanted them to was when I didn't have a director system. I think that really helped because I had 12 people who believed in me and believed in my initiative and wanted to support me. But I will say, like, sometimes we've dealt with organizations that, like, spent 3 months writing a one-page article and it was very annoying. But I think that it's important to remind yourself that you are doing this organization because you want to and that your reasons behind it are valid. For example, like one thing that happened to us was we had some people accuse us of copying because we started a COVID fundraiser. Um, I don't completely agree with that, but I think it's important to remind yourself that this is a learning process for you, especially as a leader or a founder. That you are going to learn. You're going to face obstacles, um, but it's really important to make sure that you believe in yourself and remind yourself that imposter syndrome is very real, but it's something that definitely takes time to overcome, and that you kind of have to go through it, and you have to be a half glass full person when it comes to organizations. Okay. It is almost 5:30. I'll stay till 5:30. But yeah, I need last minute questions from the 30 of you that are still here. Of course. Thank you for coming. Oh my god, this is so sweet. How do you deal with imposter syndrome? I'm still dealing with imposter syndrome. It's something that I face every day. Like that coding story I talked about, I'm still very affected by it, and I think that's why don't like I really didn't code as much after that organization because I was just afraid of doing something wrong. But it's really important to remind yourself of your achievements. Like something that really helps me is like emailing my counselor, and being like, "Hey, I got this internship." But I'll also email my mom and be like, "Hey, I'm struggling so hard in AP physics, and I just feel really incompetent, and I'm not sure what to do." Just finding someone to talk to can always really help. But also reminding yourself that you're not perfect and that everything is a learning opportunity. Like, truthfully, is really how I deal with it. How do you motivate others in an organization when you're starting out? I think that it's really important to have team bonding calls. I know it sounds really weird to have motivation, but I've just noticed that when you actually take the time to get to know people in your organization, they are much more motivated to contribute to your mission because they know you. It's like how, if your friend is asking you to repost something versus if someone who you don't know is asking you to repost something, you're more inclined to repost something that your friend did because you have a personal relationship. And it's important to make sure that you have that bond with someone when you're trying to make an organization because if they don't feel like they belong in this community and their voice isn't heard, it's kind of hard to get people to do work. But also it comes with like not assigning them a lot of work per day. So yeah, that's what I would say. Any other questions? Of course, I love doing it. It was so fun. Bye guys, thanks for coming. um, if you have any questions, just shoot Agnes an email. She'll be sending you a recording, and then she can give you my contact information. All right, I'll be ending the call now, but thank you so much for coming. Bye.